All right, we should be live on YouTube. All right, let's get this party started. Where'd everybody go? Let's see. There everybody is. All right, let's roll. Let's get this started. We'll let everybody in and let's get right on it. All right, you let them in? Yeah, let's let them in. They're in. All right. Happy Tuesday. Everybody's coming in. A little weird time, so I don't know what we'll have show up. Some people are on Facebook, somebody are on YouTube, and some will watch them on the replay. So we are going to get right into it. Got a couple deals I'm going to throw out there. We got some really cool stuff that we're getting ready to uh, make available to the community with uh, we have a large hedge fund that's starting to acquire creative financing deals. We're doing some final testing on it right now. Um, once I'm comfortable with they can process the deal flow as well as there's money to be made in it, then I will let you guys know. So we got a few deals in there now, and we'll see what transpires. Hopefully by this time next week, we will have a pretty good idea. So there's about 20 markets. We're working on some other nationwide stuff, but more details to follow. So I am whatever. Got to start that earlier. We start recording earlier. Got to
You
get my company
listen.
started. What the hell? Anyway, well, they just missed out on the $1 million if you're not watching that live. So sorry, guys. Ask somebody else on the call. No, what I was saying is that we have a new process and a new partner, a hedge fund that's looking at acquiring creative deals. So think of it like turnkeys, like maybe what Memphis Invest used to do, right? I don't know if anybody knows who Memphis Invest is. They provided turnkey rentals. Well, guess what? This is using creative deal structuring and creative financing to acquire and then another exit in the future. So not even getting the details and the weeds on it. Let you guys know that I've been working with these guys for a while. We have some deals in there. We're building some stuff out. And I think it's pretty close, and we'll see it if what they project the numbers to be versus reality, and we'll take it from there. So let's get right into it, you guys. If you guys got any deals that you want to share, make sure you raise your hand. I'm going to go through a couple right now, and for those that are in Inner Circle, we're going to go to that call right after this one. So let me share my screen. Oh, hang on one second here. Before we get into that, has anybody got any questions or anything they want to bring up? You can put it in the chat, or we have a small group today, so you're more than welcome to unmute yourself and just ask the question, and then we can get into the actual stuff. So let's see here. Go back to here. Share my screen. Let's see here. All right, let's get right into the software here. LV, can you see my screen okay? Make sure everybody can see it.
Yep, we can.
Okay, super. All right, let's go right into it. So this property is in Glen Heights, 320 Frio River. I haven't even done this yet. I saw the numbers on. I go, let's take a look at this and see if this actually would work or not. So here is the deal. We're going to go right into it. 320 Frio River. Glen Heights is a suburb of DFW. I mean, we'll come back and fill in some of this other stuff here. I don't know. You know what? Let's just check it real quick. Let's just see here. Let's go here. I like doing it this way because you get to just sort of see the keystrokes that happen and what happens. So here's the house. I just want to see if they got a value on it. But 317. Okay. I mean, this is a pretty new construction. Didn't even have any. It's at auction, but it's already under contract. So let's go back into the model. Everything pops up right my way. Did I mess that up? Give me one second. I'm gonna go back. The only problem when you host a Zoom, all this crap is right where you want to be. I can't get to my menu bar. I can't get to any of that stuff. Oh my God, people, stop it. Let's see here. Evaluations. Back all the way down here to Frio. All right, let's try this again. So about 320-ish. Remember, this isn't really a matter for this. It's just knowing when we go to look at it. 320 here. Okay, I'm going to go to the next screen. Sub 2. So I got all the details already over here in the things, and we're just going to put them in real quick. Put them already in the memos. Okay, here's all the information on the property right here. Existing mortgage has got 215. It's got a 3.25 rate. Here's your PITI. $29 is your HOA. Rental restrictions none. Long-term rental about 2,200. PITI. So depending on how much cash it takes to get into this deal, they want 55,000. But so what? What they ask and what they get are two different things. But we're just going to solve it and figure out what we need to do. So I'm going to write this stuff down here. We got 3.25 on the rate. 3.25. We have mortgage balance of 215. And and what was the other number we want? I need the PI. This is what I hate about people that do not understand how financing works. The payment is irrelevant. What's super important is the principal and interest. So I'm going to go solve for it now because I don't have people are trying to do it. I'm going to have to figure this out. So I'm going to show you how we figure it out. We're going to guess on it 3.25. We're going to go into batch. Elvia, can you go into batch for me, or send somebody else go into batch and see if they can find the when this loan matures or when it was originated, because we need to know that to put it into the thing. It doesn't show it in here. And this is just an inexperienced wholesaler doesn't understand the value of breaking down the payment and putting the maturity date or the origination date. And here's the reason why. It's a huge difference. When I say huge, I mean a massive difference to you and me. Is this a 15-year note? Is it a 30-year note? Is it a 40-year refi? Whatever it is, super important to know this stuff because we are playing the bank here and it's all about amortization. Without having that information, we cannot make a formal analysis of this deal. So we're going to go find it real quick. You know what? Let me see if I can do it real quick, Elvia. Let me see if I can get in here. Let me switch over here. Find my badge. Let's see if I can find it. Every time I want to do something here. Okay, let's put this address in here. What was the address again? 320 Frio. So what you got to do, you got to be a detective sometimes. Here it is right here. Oh, it's called Red Oak. Interesting. Okay, that's fine. Details. Let's see, go to sale loan information. Okay, here it is, right here. Perfect. Recording date was 11/6/2020. Okay. Oh, it says it's an FHA. I don't think that's true though, because I don't see a PMI on it. And if they did, then again, another reason why you need a mortgage statement here. It's probably an FHA. Okay, let's see here. That must be the PMI. This is probably the PMI right here. There's your payment. 233 is the loan amount, and the maturity date. There it is, right there. 2050, 11/1/2050. Perfect. So let's go back and build this out here. Okay. So we know the unpaid balance is 215,000. Okay. They're just going to put it down here, $55,000 right now. Okay. Put 4,500 in there for closing. Okay. Unpaid balance. PITI, well, we don't really care about that. We're going to solve for the principal and interest. We got 3.25. And here's how you solve for this, okay? We know the original, we know if we go back to here, we can just solve it real quick. The maturity date on this is 11/6/2020. So it's been in 11/2024, which just passed. It would have been 4 years. So it's 48 months plus another 2, so 50 months. We're going to get pretty close on this. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to change the remaining term to 310. Okay. And I'm just going to solve for the PI. There it is right there. Okay. There's that. And then my PITI, if I want to go back and just put it in there for giggles, it was 1695. Because somebody might want to keep this as a rental. That's why we let it go this way. I'm gonna go back in here, put 1695 in here. Okay, perfect. 1695. All right. Carrying on. So now we have this information. So now what is this? What is this property worth? What can we sell it for? Because we got great. Look, guys, I can already tell you this is going to be a good deal because we got 4 years of pay down and a 3.25% rate. Even if it's FHA, it's still a good deal. Okay, we're going to see how good of a deal it is, and depending on how we got to borrow the money. So let's go in. I'm going to go take this address real quick here, and let's go see what it looks like. Oh my God, why does it do that? I don't know why it does that. I don't want that. Give me a second. I changed a setting on my computer and it just wants to jump everywhere now. Try this again. Go back to Google. I don't know why. You got Yahoo pulling up now, which I can't stand. All right, let's see if it's on Realtor down here. No, no, 324. Is it three? No, it's 320. There's no pictures there. Let's see if I can find it here. Let's see, 324. That's 320. Well, I'm just going to come and change the address. Let's go here, put the address in here, see if this works. This is curious. This stuff happens. That's why I'm doing this so you guys can see. Let's make sure we got the right damn address. 320 Frio River. They said Glen Heights. This says Red Oak. Just depends on where it's located. Go back in here. Let's open up another tab and see if we can find it again. If not, we'll just go through it. It's not a big deal. I didn't I don't just copied Red Oak. Right estimate 286, 2020 build. Okay, so it looks like it's worth about, here's an estimated price here. I'm just going to split the difference, call it 300. Okay, so let's go back to dealer value. We're going to put 300,000 in here. And a sale price at that sale price, at that down payment, I'm going to solve it at 9%. Can we get more? Yeah, I just got 9.95% on a $400,000 house. So, but I'm just going to solve it at 9 for right now. I just want to see if it works at 9%. Go down here, change this to 9%. And let's continue on. Go to the next screen. Because my cost basis is only 274. So I got a little bit of an equity position in there, even with the 55,000. Let's go to the third party financing. Let's solve it. See if we can solve it here. Let's solve it at 15% and 60 months. Let's start there first and see how close we are. I just start here to see if it works. And we're minus 268. So that tells me right there. And the reason why I do it this way, because I don't want to go over more than 60 months on my private money loan, and I'm not going to go over 15%. Okay. You can pay a little bit more, but that's the bare minimum I'm going to be able to borrow. So I got to solve it. So now we're off by $260. Okay. That's a lot. Okay. And the reason being is one, I got a 9% on the rate. If it was a higher rate, that would go up. But really what it boils down to on this is property purchase. I'm going to go back to the property purchase, and I'm going to take this 55,000 away, and I'm just going to knock it down to 40. See what happens. Okay. Don't know if it'll work or not. None of this is going to change here. I'm going to go back to my private money. None of this is changing here on our sale price. Okay. Could I get a little bit more money for it? Yes. Could I get a little bit more down payment? Yes. Could I get a little bit higher interest? Absolutely. But that's not what we're modeling it for. So let's go in here. I'm going to solve this now. And now let's see what happens. Now I'm at 44,000. I'm going to do the same 15%, 60 months. I'm solving for my break even right now so I can know what I can offer. Okay. Let's see. Boom, right there. That's pretty darn close. Okay. I'm just going to leave it there. So what we did is that we changed the down payment, the cash to the seller, agent, wholesaler, to a total amount of 40,000. Now that could be 20 to the seller. It could be 5 in assignment fee and 15 up here. Doesn't really matter. It's still a cost of doing the deal. So now we got our cash to a cash neutral position. Okay. And now let's look at the deal from here. So we got 9%. I'm just double checking everything here. Go to the next screen. Okay, third party. And then we're going to get into the disposition. Okay, it's a negative cash flow as a rental because it costs so much money to bring the table to get this thing closed. $87 gap funding positive with gap funding based on those numbers. And then net cash flow, 1146. I like it. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to solve it for 120 months. Oh my God, I hate these freaking pop-ups. Where did my name go? 120. I'm going to solve for 120. Let's see what it is. So we got about $9,000 coming back cash now. That's the cash we get net from our borrower's down payment less our closing costs and expenses. Our cash flow projected over the next 120 months is 74,000. The net payoff, another 89,000. So the total profitability on this deal is projected to be $172,000 with a net recurring monthly revenue on average of 1436. So this deal right now is a good deal. I would do this deal all day long. So if anybody's interested, let me know. Let me see it. There's a couple things I want to check out on. I want to see some. I still didn't check the flood rating. I can't pull it up on Realtor, but where's that flood? What is it under? I don't know. There's a note we can go to it. I don't think I have it saved up here. Anyway, this is right here. But let me just show you what happens just on this property purchase. Just this little bit. We changed it from 55 down to 40. And that's just the wholesaler just not negotiating a good deal. I mean, that's just not acceptable for it. But if we went back to the 55,000, what you would see is it's probably still a good deal, but it's a negative cash flowing. You get the negative cash flow it for a certain period of time. I'm just going to go back and see what that would be. Okay. All I'm doing here is I'm going back to the private money here. And I'm going to come here because you might get 12% money and this deal might work, right? So right now we're at 268 a month. That doesn't mean we lose 268. Okay. What that means is that you're investing $268 a month to do this deal. Okay. $268, 268 for the next 60 months. Is that a good deal? Well, I don't know. Let's go back to the profit analysis and see if that deal still makes sense. It's still worth $150,000. These are the net numbers. So even when you invest $268 a month for the next 60 months, you still have all this come in. So this is still a good deal. The question is, how many people can afford to go borrow money and still write a check for $268 a month for 60 months to get this as your back end? Well, one, not as many as if it was getting money back, but two, there's better things to probably the generate this right here. So my position would be, would I do this deal? Well, what if I had 12% money? Okay. And what if I had 72 months? I'm not saying that's what I would do, but I'm just seeing what would happen if that was the numbers. Let me change this here. This is all there. You just got to make sure you solve it. And now it's look at that. Boom. It goes to cash neutral. So if I could borrow at 12%, or I had a HELOC or line of credit, or I have friends and family money or IRA money or access to it, and I could pay it at 12% and borrow for 6 years or 72 months, my profit analysis is still $152,000. I would do that deal. Okay. But the problem with this is, unless you know already that you have access to $60,000, 59,500, and you have the ability to borrow at 12%, and they'll give it to you for 72 months, you can't model it this way. Okay. So you got to know where the probabilities are. For me, I don't have $60,000 lined up right now. Could I get it? Yeah. Could I get it at 12 and 72? Probably, but it might take me an extra 2 weeks to get it. Do I have 2 weeks to do it? Am I willing to put up a $5,000 earnest money and hoping that I can get the $60,000? Probably not. So I probably would not do that. But if you're sitting on other money, then it makes sense. So I always solve it. I always want to get this number to cash neutral. So if I go to cash neutral and I'm using 15% and I'm using 60 months, okay, then, oops, what did I do there? Oh, too many months on the term. 60 months on the term. I'm negative 268. The only way that I'm going to adjust is off the cash on the acquisition side. I'm never going to manipulate my property sale. I'm not going to could I change this to 10? Like, this is what people do, and this is what you should not do. I'm going to show you right now. Only thing I'm going to change this to 10%. Okay. Change that to 10%, solve that payment. I'm going to change this to 10%. I'm not going to change anything else but raise that interest rate a point. Okay. On this model. Watch what happens here when I go back to gap funding. Oh, why those damn pop-ups, man? Freaking, I don't know how to get rid of them. I do know how to get rid of them. I just got to turn them back off. So now it goes down to $71 negative by raising a point on the interest rate. So that just knocked off $60. Okay. Or $200, I mean, but it's still negative. But these are the adjustments you can make. But I would never, 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 never change the sale price off the ARV when I model. Now, would I go try to sell this for 330? 100% I will. Will I try to get 10%? Absolutely. Am I going to model it at that? Absolutely not. Okay. Not, because I need to know what my worst case is. Because if it passes the test as worst case scenario, you're not going to get yourself in any issues. So I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to go back to my, let me change my rate back because I'm being conservative right now until we get some rate adjustments here in our favor. Let me go back to this, solve that again, go back to property purchase. And I already know that I need this number to be $40,000. So this is it. I just solved it right here. Okay. I already solved it. I'm going to go back and just double check it again. And my offer, if I wanted this deal, is $40,000 cash. That's my number. Go back here. This should solve $87. And I might be able to squeeze it up. Let me just see if I can get to 45. I don't know that I can. Can I get the 40? I probably can get to 45. Maybe so. Let's just see. Next. Acquisition funding, format, solve. Close. I could probably get to 44 to 45, but not 55. Okay. That's it. Because in reality, it's not really costing me $30 for 60 months. Because if you take your calculator and you 30 times 60, what is that? $1,800, give or take. Well, remember, you're already getting $9,000 back. So in reality, if you really wanted to know the math and that was the number, you take your $9,000 in cash now, divide that by 60 months, which is the term of your private money, you have $150 here. So what that means is that right here, this could be negative 150 in reality because you're getting $9,000 and you're only going into this funding for 60 months. Make sense? So this number could actually be up to 150 negative, and this would be a true cash neutral deal. So those are your math. So if you had to pay 16%, for example, okay, now you're at 57. If you had to pay 18% and you negotiated that, you're still okay. All right. Any questions on that? These are good. I mean, we'll go in, the next one we'll go into, or somebody else's, we'll go and try to find the other stuff I don't have it. You can go find flood information and other things outside of going through Realtor. I just don't have it set up to do it on here, so I'm not going to mess with this property. But I'd give this a B. I'd give this a B, a solid B, maybe even a B plus on this deal personally. So let's see here. Let me go to my see where everybody is. Why is it doing this? Let me stop. It's over here. All right. Let's see. Anybody got any questions on that? Anybody got any questions?
Nick Jackson here.
Yep.
how would you forecast in your model just for say if you have an equity investor, right, that says, hey, well, I'll put in the funds, but I want
Great point.
70,
All right, let me
70%
go.
of the cash flow.
Yeah, so what I would do here is I would just come here. So it depends on what you can negotiate. So let's just
Right.
continue to use this model here, okay?
Yep.
So here we still got funding that has to get paid. We know in this example right here, this is going to cost 49 about 40. Let's just say that's the number, $49,500. Okay.
That's just to
So
close the deal before you wrap it,
that's
right?
just the cash to get the deal done. Yeah. Okay. That's just the cash to bring in. Because if you go back to the property purchase here, you know that there's 4,500 in closing costs, and you got another $45,000 worth of cash to seller, wholesaler fees, agent fees. Okay, not
Yep.
even putting any holding cost or deferred maintenance or any of that other stuff. Right? Just
Right.
just depends on what you're going to do with it. All right. So if that's the number, the question becomes, if you have an equity partner, well, you can do these a lot of different ways, right? You can say, hey, put all the money in. So what I would probably do if I was going to do it is I would say, look, we're not going to pay interest on your money. It's going to be zero. Okay. And I'm going to solve this number down to figure out how many months it gets there. So your money, let me just do this real quick. Let me just play around with it.
Yep.
36. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to solve it so my deal cash flow is close to zero. And I'll explain in a second. That's too much. 48. So it's probably about 44, 45 maybe. Let's see if it's 45. Nope, 43. Went the wrong way. Perfect. $4 negative. This says that it's negative $4.53 a month. Okay. So
Right.
what I would, if I was going to have a private equity partner on these deals, I would say, hey, Jackson, you put in the $50,000. We're going to take all the cash flow after we sell it on a wrap, and we're going to pay it. The net cash flow is $1,151 a month. We're going to take all that money and we're going to pay back this $49,500. No interest. It's all going to go back to you. It's going to take us 43 months to get it. And then we're going to have 317 months remaining of payments coming back in. And that cash flow is going to be $1,146 a month after the 43 months. Okay. Remember,
Gotcha.
we're writing a note for 360 months, 30 years. The first 43 months, we're taking all that 1146 and we're paying off the private money debt. Okay.
Right.
Paying them all back. And then we're going to have the rev share. So the rev share comes in and it's like, okay, what's the rev share going to be? If you do 50-50, well, then you can do the math right here. 1146 divided by 2 is $573 a month. Okay. Then what I would do, if that's what you agree to, then what I would do over here is I would come over back to this is what you do when you get to this is the forecast. Then you got to take the numbers and you build it out into actuals. And let's
Right.
just say that was the numbers. And I would come back in here to this property sale and I would create a second lien. This is 45. You need to change this to get this up to 573. So you just manipulate these numbers. And if to get to 573, this might be $60,000, right? And that's going to generate the same cash flow. You just set whatever your ratio is, you just use the first and the second. Whoever's responsible for the money gets the first lien position. Whoever gets the junior position gets the second lien position. And that's it. And you could have a 70-30 split. So like when I partner with people and they bring the deals in, I will take, we might take 25% of the deal or 20 to 35%, depending on who's putting in the private money. And
Right.
then we just structure it accordingly. It's like everybody's got a set of responsibilities. But what I never do, ever, ever, ever do, I never partner with anybody. The partnership is only while the initial deal is going down. So what I mean by that is if you go back to this right here, okay,
Yep.
we wrote a 30-year note, 360 months, right? Well, what happens as soon as we get that buyer in there, we're creating two notes. That's why I create two notes.
Right.
Okay. I create two notes just for this reason, because let's just assume for argument's sake, because I don't want to change this up right now. Let's just say that you control the first lien note right here, 225, and that's going to yield you 1810 a month, and then you got to pay the underlying debt, right? Whatever
Right.
that is. And then the second note is this, okay? And let's assume these are the ratios. Jackson, you get the first lien. You have 100% control over the first lien and the debt. I get 100% control over the second lien, the debt. Doesn't matter what I do with mine. Doesn't matter what you do with yours. They're independent of each other. So I don't have to
Yep.
worry about being in a long-term relationship with you because I might have different investment strategies. I might have a different need for it. Hell, I might want to go take my note right here, and I might want to turn around and go sell it for $20,000 to get a lump sum of cash. I might want to do that. You might want to take yours and you might want to go partial and do something else with it. So I never, ever, ever, never, ever will have a equity position with the deal long term. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. And I always do two notes. Sometimes I get the senior lien. Sometimes you get the senior lien. It just depends on where the risk is, who's responsible for the money. I always put whoever's responsible for the money. When I say the money, the gap funding in this example right here, this 49,500. Oh my God, this thing drives me nuts. I don't know why it's doing it. Whoever's responsible for this right here, I always give them the first lien position. The control, they get the senior lien because they have more risk and they need to protect the other investment, either their private money or the debt that they brought in from Wells Fargo or they acquired to sub two. Okay.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So if
So
you
that,
get to this point and you have a private investor, that's willing to put the money in, once we get to that point, we can help you make sure you get it structured properly. But do not put it in like an LLC and say, I got 70% ownership and you get 30% or whatever. Would never do that. That's a recipe for disaster. Have
and
own Instead of having 50% ownership, have 100% ownership of half, if I could say it any different than that. All right.
yeah, no, makes a lot of sense. And
All
then
right,
the
cool.
two notes is just for, asset protection reasons. If you need to sell the first
Hey,
one.
I've done three notes, four notes, and you can have eight notes. No matter. You can have as many as you want, as
Gotcha.
long as they get recorded properly and in right order. So yeah, it just depends. Like I've done first, seconds, and thirds before. We do a lot of silent seconds or silent thirds where we put it. What I typically do, I can't show it on this one because I don't have all the data from in one place. Maybe on the next one we can. We have time. I'll show you what I do. But I write a lot of on my sales now. I'll write a note for some of the equity position over the next 5 years. So like, God, I wish this was up here. Let's see. Let me see what this other property is here real quick. Let me just pull up Driftwind here. I'll show you what I mean. So this is another note that I write. So let's just say, let me go here. Let me go to realtor.com. Okay. So let's just say, so what this has a 269 value. Okay.
Right.
So if you say it's worth 269, I'm going to go down here to this real estimate and I'm going to go back 5 years. This house was worth about 180 and it's 269 now. So 270 minus 180 is 90,000. Divide that by five. That's $18,000 a year in appreciation.
Yep.
Okay. So I might I might write a second note, a silent second to my buyer for $50,000. No payments, no interest, 15-year balloon. Because I'm giving them the right to buy. I'm giving them the ability to buy this house. They don't pay on it. They refinance it or sell it. Then I get that payoff in the future. Because
Gotcha.
in 5 years you can look at it, and if it doesn't, I'll release it or I'll reduce it. But in 5 years, like let's just say that I did this 5 years ago and it was 180. Okay, now they want to go sell it and they're going to go 270. Well, that's $90,000 in equity profit to them. I already gave them a deal on the front side. Well, I want a part of that equity. I want a part of that equity position. That's
Right.
what I do. I write them all the time. So I sell it for more, but I don't charge them. I don't charge it for them up front. We're rev sharing the equity position in the future.
Gotcha. Just splitting the appreciate your yeah,
I'm
splitting the
taking it on. I'm taking it in advance because what happens? A lot of people will. What this is what I don't like. This is what I don't do. Let's just say this house right here is worth 270. I see a lot of times um, owner finance sellers will try to sell this at $300,000. Okay, they'll try
right.
to sell this at $300,000 and they'll sell it for above average. And the problem with that is you don't have the true value is 270. They sell it for 300. They get their 10% down. They get 270 is what they finance. The house is 270. That's 100% LTV loan.
Right. And you can never
100%.
you
You
can't
have no leverage on 100% LTV loan.
right.
So if the bank calls the note due, you are screwed. So this is why we do it. I'm going to defer mine to the end because the second and third lien is behind it's junior, doesn't affect the first lien position. Doesn't affect it at all. So that's why we structure it this way. But when you write this stuff above fair market value, you've got to take the risk and carry it back, be in a junior position, not in the first lien position, because you'll get screwed. I mean, because note investors are going to be looking at minimum of probably, let's just say it's 90%, and then they're going to go down from there. So you got to take that 270 and you got to go to 90% first. That's at 243. Okay. And then
Right.
you got to start discounting it from there. So that 270 note might only be worth, it's going to be, whether you sell it at 300 or write the note for 300 or 270 in this example, you're still getting 270 as the value. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're not going to get just because you write it for more. If you want to write it for more, do it. I do it all the time. I just do it differently so I don't get penalized because you don't get you don't get penalized on the cash you take in, and you don't get penalized on anything that you hold from a discount perspective, right? That's why I write 75% first liens whenever I can. Okay. Because then if I discount, I'm only discounting it on, $200,000 instead of up to 250 or the full one. I don't discount the second because it's not part of the transaction. It makes a massive difference, especially when you're talking about amortization. All right.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
No, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
All right, cool. Did you any other questions? I think everybody's sleeping today. I know I'm not that good explaining this stuff. Anybody else have any questions? Anybody? Okay, I'm going to get off this one here. Does anybody, before I go up this other one, I want to do another one. I want to really show you the financial side's important, obviously, but also the validation of the asset is super important too. Like, where is it located? Where is it? What's the ZHVI, the median home price, all that stuff. So if no one has anything on that, I am going to go pull up this other one right here. If I can find it again. My computer is just all jacked up. It's like there's just
Hey,
some
Nick,
shit. Yeah. What's up, Brad? How are
did
you?
you include, good. Did you include holding costs on that?
I didn't do it on that
see.
one. I don't do it so much anymore. Just because it's such a variable. Just depends on what people are going to do with it, because everybody's got different
Okay.
cost of capital. Then you're just going to have to get a better deal. You know, depends on where your money's coming from
Yeah.
and what you're going to do with it. Um, when it's $150,000 profit, I mean, I can put it in there and it's just going to lower it down. It just really depends. I do sometimes and I don't sometimes. So,
Okay.
it just
Okay.
really depends on what the house
I
is
thought
and
you
where it's
just
located.
always did.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to do it,
Okay.
but everybody doesn't. I mean, it's man, it's just really depends on what you're going to do with the house. I would rather you not do that and go find a buyer first. You know what I'm saying? Go find
Okay.
the buyer, then do the deal. Okay, find the back end buyer, then do the deal. If you're concerned about the holding cost, because the holding cost just comes off the back
Okay.
end anyway. For example, that deal we just did had $9,000, okay, in cash coming back. Why borrow that money? You know what I'm saying? Why go borrow it at that high interest rate when you're going to get it back in some period of time? You should, if you don't have the money to go do it, then you need to borrow it. But you're going to get it back. The problem is that if you get it back and you borrow it, you can't just go there's no benefit to taking that money and paying it to the private money lender because it's not going to change the payment. It's just going to change how many more months that you have to pay it back. So I would just use my own capital personally for that short term, knowing I'm going to get about $9,000 back. If you wanted to put some in it, you surely can. I do it because I don't trust people enough to be responsible enough with the process. So we just overfund the deal, for lack of a better word. So if that's what you need to do, and you don't feel comfortable with having to cover mortgage payments for 2 or 3 months, and you have to go borrow it, okay? Or you get an equity partner, and you do it that way, and you do it that way. Sometimes, I mean, we just sold a house in like 2 weeks. Sometimes I've got some that I'm still holding for 7 or 8 months, but it doesn't matter to that side because you're still getting the pay down on the equity. You're still getting it. Just do you physically have the capital to keep the deal moving forward until it finalizes? Okay, so all right, so let's go into this deal. I haven't even not looked at this one yet. This one is in Conroe, which is north of Houston. I like Conroe a lot actually because it's very affordable. Texas. Let's see what this deal looks like here. I think this might be a hybrid deal. Let's see what this one is. Let's go to memo here. Oh, it's a hybrid. Okay, so we got to add the second lien to it, or the seller carry lien. Let's just look at the details on it. Okay. Here it is here, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Got a little bit of an HOA, not a big deal. Oh, it's got an existing VA loan. I like that, but check this out. 81,346 at 3.87. Wow, that's great. With the maturity date of 8/2051. So that means, so what is that? We're in 2025. So in August of this year, that'll be 48 months. We've got about 42 months of pay down on this, give or take. 1 month or two is not going to matter. Then we got seller carry of 122 at 3.5% on a 30-year term, 10-year balloon. Perfect. We're going to solve it for 10 years anyway. We're going to leave it at that and see. And then does it give me what's the cash requirements on here? Does it tell me? Loan balance, seller finance. No, but it's okay. We'll solve for it. We'll tell them what they're going to make. All right, let's go back here. Subject to, so I'm going to go in here. Unpaid principal balance is 81,346. Okay. We're going to come back and solve for this here. We know we got 4,500 in closing costs. We'll come back and solve that. We got the PITI. This doesn't really matter because it doesn't affect what we're doing. Principal and interest. Do we have that number in here? Let's see here. No, we got to solve it. Okay. Go back to it. Remember, we can solve it easy because it's 3.87. 3.87. And we know there's been 42 months paid down. So that puts us, what does that put us at? 318. Then I'm just going to solve for the payment. Okay. Well, they must have put a lot of money down on this house. Okay. Then I'm going to add a loan. Name it. I'm going to call it seller carry. Okay. And their loan amount is 122. Total payment, PI, it doesn't matter what this is. Got to put something in here though. Principal and interest, we're going to solve for. This is going to be at 3.5%. And it's a 60-year term. It's going to have 60, and it's going to a 30-year term, I should say, and it's going to have 30 years remaining because it's a brand new note. And the payment on that's going to be 547. Did they give us that number in here? Let's see if they did it right. 582. It's probably because I didn't put the 6 to 54 in there. Okay, let's go back and change this. Yeah, I just forgot what it was. 47E3. Let's just leave it like that. Okay. So I think it was 846. Okay, so now we have this in here. And what do we have right now? We have, go to next. Where is my, hang on. There it is. My screen is too big. Let me make this a little smaller. Subject to, so hit next. So my cost basis are 207. So now I want to do right here. This is what I wanted to do the first time. So let's go in here. Let's go into, let's just see what this looks like. Okay. See if we can find it on here. There it is. There's realtor.com. Let's see what this looks like. Okay. Nice little house, 225 already under contract. But 225, let's see what it looks like. It's clean. Perfect seller finance house. Got upgraded appliances. I can't, those are probably not granite counters, but that's okay. Somebody can move into this thing. A little bit dated, but whatever. So we got that in here. Let's go down and look at some of this other information. What else do we have here? Environmental risk. It says there's a major flood hazard. Got a 6. Not a fan of that. But I'd probably go to check it. But 6 is not 10. But I want to see if it ever flooded. Okay, maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. But here's your valuation again. You know, it was $167,000 house 5 years ago. Went up to right about 230, and then it came back down a little bit. I think this house is probably 220. Okay, we got 220. Let's go to the ZHVI for this real quick. So ZHVI, which is the Zillow Home Value Index for this zip code here. Come on, see, let's go here. ZHVI. Okay. 271. I like that. So our house is significantly lower. Okay. In it. So it's that's good to know. I like that. I don't want to be more than about, if this was a $300,000 or higher priced house in this zip code, I personally would probably pass on it. Doesn't mean you can't find a buyer, it just makes it harder. All right, so let's go back to this. I think we're probably got that in there. We'll come back and solve for this in a second. Go to the next. Let's come back to property sale. I think it's 225. I think that's a good number. We'll take the 22% down. Now, at this price point house, I think you can easily get 9.5% because the affordability relative to the rent is going to be justifiable. You're going to be pretty darn close on here. So I'm going to set just as the 9.5. Let's offer this. Let's get to the private capital now. Third party. Okay. Now, what do we need here? Oh, I got to put some of this money in here. So let's just go put, I don't know what the number is. Let's just start with 20. Let's start with 30,000. Oh, no, it's probably going to be 20. Let's just put it at 20,000 because it's going to need, we're not going to go above market value on here. So let's just put 20,000 in here. That's going to give us a 227, which is puts us right at the number. Let's make it 15,000. 15,000 puts us right at the cost basis. Okay, I'm going to go back to my gap funding here. So I need 19,500. Solve it at 15%. Probably would self-fund this deal. I mean, at that little bit of money, you're way ahead of the game on this one with that little bit at 15% at that money out of pocket. Let's see what this thing does. Now, remember the seller was asking for a 10-year balloon. Okay. So if I do it at 10 years, total profit is 108,895. 40,000, 518 over the 120 months, 61,000 cash flow. Cash now 67. Monthly recurring revenue is 907. So not as high of a number as the last deal. Well, the main reason why it's a lower price point property too. So, but that said, there's a lot of flexibility with this deal because I just took a perfect example. I'll show you guys this in a second and we'll wrap this up. So this right here, you could self-fund this probably. So you're not even paying 15%, right? If you do this at 0%, okay, and that's 281. And if I want to put this down to 36, still 203. You could self-fund this and probably in 24 months, maybe 26 months. 26 months, you have it all paid back, and then your profit analysis would even be better. It goes up to 117. So, but you have advantages when you have a seller involved in this. Like, I mean, one thing you could do is that you could go see if you get the seller to extend even longer and just have him carry the whole amount. Like maybe you say, look, I'll pay this $81,000 off now, but I need you to carry, the whole balance when I need you on a 15-year balloon or a 20-year balloon. And they might do it because they're getting rid of the underlying debt and they're just getting the cash flow. So, like, here's a perfect example. I want to show you guys something on here real quick that I just did. So I just did this deal. Let me find here. Command F. I'm looking for Kellogg. Did I get the right one? Modified. Okay, check this out. I think this is the right one. So the seller in this deal, check this out. I bought this house and the seller gave me this is what the seller gave me. They gave me a $170,000 loan at 0% for 171 months. Okay. And I've been paying on this a little over a year. So if I go to my property amortization right here and I go out 12 months, I still owe 159. I just offered the seller $100,000 for early payoff. And they came back and they countered at 115, I think. What kind of deal do I get if I buy that note back at $100,000? And I'll go sell the other one. I mean, that's what I'm doing. It's literally what I'm doing. Because when a seller carries back, they go, because look, here's the deal. It's a real simple question. Hey, Mr. Seller, whatever your name is, I can continue to make you $1,000 a month payment for the next 160 months, or I can write you a check and pay it off now for 100 grand. I don't really care which one you want to do. 75% of the time, they're going to take the cash because now they have something else in their life that gets. Banks don't do that. Why don't banks do it? Because banks don't ever get sick. They don't die. They don't get divorced. They don't lose their jobs. Banks they don't want that ever to go away. They want you to go full term. Seller financing, a whole different ballgame, guys. So a year ago, she was probably ecstatic about $1,000 a month. Now maybe her car doesn't work now. Maybe she's got a kid that's graduating or whatever. She decides she wants to take a road trip. I don't know. I don't really care. But let me tell you something. I sent her an email. She literally responded back within less than 10 minutes. Literally less than 10 minutes. So I go, well, shit. Your counteroffer is awful high. I think if you were going to respond back that quick. I'll let you know how it works out. I'll let you know what my final deal is on it, what I'm doing. But now what I did is that let's just say I get it for $50,000 less. Well, now my cost basis goes from 210 down to 160 because I waited a little bit of time to make that deal happen. So now when I overpaid her a year ago, in reality, I'm way underpaying her because I negotiated it after the fact. Guys, stuff. I mean, you're not going to learn this anywhere, man. I'm just telling you right now. It just doesn't happen. You learn this because you understand notes, you understand amortization. I mean, you're not learning this in business school. I can promise you. So this is why we do this stuff. The deal itself is sort of really, that's just the tease. The value in these deals is the deal after the deal. It's getting the seller to refinance or get to take an early payoff on the loan that they created. It's the buyer you sold it to, the selling it back to you so you can protect your underlying debt. It's the buyer refinancing with you and resetting a term after they can get pre-approved from the bank and meeting or beating the bank rate if you choose to do that. Those are the values in these things. So anyway, what else do we have here? Do we have any questions in here? Let me stop sharing. That's all I got. So anybody got any questions on any of this stuff?
I have another question for you, Nick.
Let me have it.
So what do you think is deemed more important into these deals? The borrower that's, you know, the say the subprime, homestead, I-10 borrower, whatever you want to call them, that
Right.
just looking for the house that has the, you know, that you know is going to get qualified and going to put the 20% down, or say the person that, you know, found the sub two opportunity. If in terms of like a JV deal, right? For example,
Oh,
I have a guy in San Antonio that's looking for a house. He's, you know, he could put up the 50 grand down and he's, you know, he's making, you know, real good cash flow. And I want to place him into a deal, but I need to, you know, how do I figure out what's
so
more?
he's just a money.
What's
He's
more?
just a money guy.
No, he's a borrower. He's a buyer of a deal, like a
Oh,
REIT.
so he wants to live in a. He's going to live in a house.
Yeah, yeah. So I was kind of like, you know, talking with some other people. What like kind of like chicken and egg? Is the deal more valuable or the buyer that's like, hey,
Well, here's the bottom line. The most important part of these transactions is the debt. The debt is the value. The property is not as the property is not is I could care less about the property. I care about the borrower, but not like most people care about borrowers. And the reason being is I have the house as the collateral. So when people go, you know, and they go do all this stuff, like banks have the house as collateral. I don't perform as a borrower. The bank is protected. The house is still worth X. Okay, or they're never gonna go to zero. A house never gonna go to zero,
right,
right? And then whether it goes up or down today or tomorrow, it doesn't matter. What happened? You got to look at it over time, right? What's the variance over time? People go, oh, the mortgage down 20%. Well, yeah, but it's up 100% over the last 5 years. So which number is more important, being net 80% up or down 20? It's like anything else. It just depends on playing musical chairs. Yeah, you're right. If you bought Tesla at 400 and I don't even know what it is now, and it's at 300, you know, you're right. If you bought it and you sold it and you lose 100, okay. But what if you bought it at 100 and you sold it at 300 or 400?
yeah,
Selling it's all relative. So I don't worry about that. I would just say, look, I would find a guy. If somebody's got that kind of money down and you did it, I would just find them in a house and just create the transaction and cash flow it. I mean, I mean, there's risk in everything that we do. I mean, I would not want to oversell the house. Like I wouldn't sell it for 300 if it's really worth 220. You know, I wouldn't, even if they say yes. I think that's sort of a problem. But other than that, for me personally, I'm taking the down payment. I'm making sure they have the financial capacity to make the payment.
right,
They can afford it. And I'm making sure damn sure that all my documentation and paperwork is absolutely perfect. That's by far the most important thing. Making sure you're compliant, that everything is done properly with disclosures, underwriting, insurance, servicing, escrows. That's the value. I mean, that's the most important thing. And I've
right.
talked about this numerous times on previous calls. I have yet to this day, today's date is February 4th, 2025. I have yet to have a financial institution call one of my notes due. Maybe I'm lucky,
Right.
right? And they're not gonna ever, even if they did call it due, it would never make it to foreclosure because of the fact that I have remedies for all of that stuff. I mean, we have a contingency plan for everything. I can sell the note, I can parcel the note, I can do other things inside of the thing. It's never going to happen in an hour anyway. So this is what you have to do. But if you don't prepare for it and you're not ready for it, you can get yourself into a problem. And then now you're going to go, what do I do now? And that's once you get to that point, you're sort of screwed because once you close on a property, it's really hard to unwind it. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't sign the documents correctly and you didn't disclose properly, and those are recorded and everything. It's really, really hard to fix those problems. You just don't want to have that problem to begin with. So that is basically it. So yeah, I mean, if we can help you in any way, let me know. That's it. Any other questions, anyone? Do you have anything else?
Chester Law. I remember. I think I was on the last call. He said he's the guy.
Who's that?
Is it Alan? Is it Chesker?
Chesker? Uh-huh. Yeah.
Right. That's the
He's-
guy
he-
you used in Austin.
He's one of my only two attorneys that I'll ever use,
Okay. Perfect.
period. For lots of different reasons, but I'm not going into detail. I mean, that's just not that there's anything wrong with anybody else. Is I don't know them and I don't trust them to make sure that what I need to have done is done correctly. Because these transaction guys, I'm telling you right now, these are not real estate transactions. Okay, these are lending transactions. You're a lender to a consumer. Period. This is not a real estate transaction. So I don't need a real estate attorney. I don't need a title company. I need somebody that understands how to structure stuff from a compliance standpoint, from an underwriting standpoint, from a servicing, from a legal protection. It's different. So anyway, that's it. That's all I got. So if we can help any other way, let me know. Guys, bring some deals. I mean, I'm tired of showing you my deals. You guys need to bring your own damn deals in. They're everywhere. You can go on freaking Facebook and find a deal in about 5 minutes. Maybe we'll do that next time. Maybe we'll go see if we can find a deal. I'm sure there's plenty of places to go find them. Find them, analyze them, and buy them. That's it. All right, if you guys are on the inner circle, we're jumping on that call next. If not, we will check the school calendar and check your email. And we'll see you guys on the next call, which is